about to know about it. Everybody about to know.
Meeting at the Bitcoin bar in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
Me holding the hands of two young 18-year-old men as I lead them into the Forge meeting in the back of the Bitcoin bar, saying these are my disciples. Well, shall we start the show?
You know what time it is.
I do. Oh, I do. Welcome back to Boys Bible Study, where men are formed under intense heat and pressure. I'm Ash, here with my co-hosts,
Scott.
And Julian.
and we are here on a very special occasion because we got another rare chance to see one of these Christian films in a secular, godless movie theater.
Yes.
Movie theaters generally where filth and culture ruining values are beamed at rooms full of people. Today, it felt like church.
Yes. It was nice. Usually you go to the movies and you see some big budget Hollywood film about like, you know, Iron Man or Batman, about how a rich CEO is always looking out for the little guy and can solve any problem through, you know, through their wealth and their management. And this time we got to go and see a big budget Christian movie about a rich CEO who solved all of his problems through, you know, buying and selling stuff and
Yes.
managing his people.
Yes, finally, a story about God that was just as worldly and money obsessed as anything we're used to.
Yes.
Although I will say, standing outside the exit as we were leaving, and I don't even know what movie they were playing in the next thing, but it was just like from the outside, it just sounded like boom, ah.
Oh yeah, I walked into that because you were in the bathroom and I walked into the theater because a lot of times I'll just wander around the theater if I'm waiting on some people. Just go in and once you're back there, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we went to see Twister in theaters the other week, I just like went to the bathroom because I had just watched it a couple weeks before. Not that I would, you know, walk out on that movie, but I went to the bathroom. I came back and I saw Alien Romulus was playing in some kind of crazy ass theater in there, and I just walked in and watched it for like 10 minutes and left.
You can do anything
whatever
in a theater.
Yeah. You can. You can even if it's a saved seat place, as long as you get there at the beginning, you can just go on your phone, go to like pick out that seat as if you're going to buy it and just keep refreshing it and it'll be taken.
Life hack, just keep the seat in your cart.
Such a good idea.
Keep the seat in your cart and you can sit there the whole movie.
Yep. I mean, you're good after like 15 minutes into the movie. Nobody else is trying to take it after that.
That's such
Good
a
point.
genius trick. And I walked into that theater you were talking about, Ash, and walked in and I literally saw a fight scene where a person got their head smashed through a pane of glass and then their throat slashed open by the broken glass. And then a guy got his like leg broken like the wrong way at the knee. Like there was an elbow drop and it just smashed the person's knee. So the leg bent the completely opposite way. And I was like,
dang,
man, I kind of feel like we should have more movies like The Forge here.
Yes. Movies are so
Really?
nasty.
I didn't think that I would be able to watch a movie that was more upsetting than the movie in which there's a prayer circle for
an Amazon
warehouse robots. And then I walked in and saw a person get their throat slit open and their knee busted the wrong way. And I was like, I don't know which is like worse.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is worse for society.
Well, we can all agree the Kendrick brothers are making good culture. The Forge is our film this week. We all went to see it in theaters because we had the privilege of doing so. And as we'll soon say more about this is the new film by the Kendrick brothers, who, if you're a longtime listener of the show, you are familiar with that name, and you would know them as team of two brothers, Stephen and Alex, and they are responsible for directing, producing, even sometimes starring in among the most competently made films that, you know, if you weren't really listening to what they were saying, would just look like a well-made secular drama film about families or communities. And one of their films, I believe their highest grossing film, is called War Room, which we covered, I believe, last year on the show. And The Forge and War Room are kind of, you know, spiritual sequels in a way.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But first I wanted to ask, so, you know, Julian and I saw the film in Los Angeles. Scott saw it in his town in North Carolina. Scott, what was the theater experience like for you?
Well, I got there pretty close to right on time, like a few minutes before start time, and nobody was in the theater. And it was like that for, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 minutes that I was sitting there. Then one old white man came in and sat in the front corner in front of me, a reasonable distance away. I could like still vape or whatever. And then he was commenting during a TikTok commercial. He was like muttering about it. I don't know what he was saying exactly, but he didn't seem happy to see a TikTok commercial. Then
He's by himself?
yes. Then pretty far into the trailers, a middle-aged couple came in, and middle-aged, like my age, like my
Sure.
like a 40-year-old couple came in and sat like right in the center, like pretty good spot. And then another couple came like probably 10, they were like 2 scenes late, I think. And they sat 3 seats down from me for some reason. Very
Cool.
weird. Just 2 seats apart from me. They could have sat anywhere in the theater. And then when probably the third scene, like within 5 minutes of the movie opening, the first old white guy who came in got up still grumbling and like left the theater. And I was like, I wonder if he didn't realize this cast was going to be predominantly black. I was like, I bet he's not coming back. And he didn't come back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you would even hear about this movie without seeing it. I mean, it's the sequel to a predominantly black casted film.
The poster.
Poster shows the cast.
If you saw a trailer, you would have had to have known.
I just don't know how you could hear that this movie was even coming out or what it is. I feel like maybe he just wandered into the theater, not knowing. I would love to know what that
maybe.
days are
Maybe
like.
he's in the wrong movie. I don't know. I'm judging too harshly.
He's Julian from the past. He's wandering. He was seeing Alien Romulus, and he was wandering into other theaters to find things to see, and he found himself there.
Oh, I don't doubt that he was, probably racist. We'll just say he is. We'll call it how it is. He is racist.
He is racist.
But I think that maybe he just, I'm just like, how did he even find this movie? He just went to the movie theater and said, I'll see The Forge.
Your most Christian movie, please.
Yeah.
Well, that was like, when Julian and I were at the what's that movie called? Solitary Confinement, the prison movie.
The Firing Squad.
It's called
Tim Che.
The Firing Squad. I
Yeah.
knew it was a prison term. It's like when someone walked out like 50 minutes into that movie and we were like, what did you expect this was going to be?
Yeah.
I just don't know. But we had a pretty full house in Los Angeles.
Surprisingly,
for a
yeah.
Tuesday.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't like every seat was taken, but like there were like 30 some people there.
Yeah, I'm wondering because the strangest thing, and I didn't understand what was happening until the credits. But like everybody had seen War Room, like right before watching this movie,
I
apparently,
think so.
because there was every time there was like a scene where they were like, and this person's back.
Yeah.
People were like, "Oh, it's her!
It's the grandma.
It's the grandma!"
It was a good crowd. They were invested
Yes.
in the movie.
Nice.
Very much so. Anytime something like stressful happened, you could hear everybody like talking to each other like, oh,
Oh,
what's
like
gonna happen?
like when the son was like late on his third day at work, like he
Yes.
oversleeps his alarm, and everyone was like, "Oh,
no.
Yeah,
No.
even though it was only two couples in the theater with me, they were definitely emotionally involved throughout the movie. They were the right audience for sure,
Mm.
and they
It's a movie.
cried at certain
Yeah.
points, including
Yes, people were
I
crying
don't
in
want
our
to
theater.
jump too far ahead, but the Mustang.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
yes, people were crying at that scene. People were
Amazing.
crying when he like throws away his video games.
Threw
in
away
our
his video
theater.
games. I looked
Wow.
over and there was like a lady and her mom, maybe, and the lady was like my age, and they were both openly weeping, like dabbing tears from their eyes.
Crying.
This was the scene where he like threw his video game system away, not even like played for that much drama. He was just like, well, I
No.
got to give up video games if I'm going to dedicate my life to Christ. And they're like, yes, thank you. It made me
Yeah.
think like, do they have a son at home who's like just
Yes.
playing
Well,
Call of Duty and
yes.
screaming the fucking
Yes.
slurs all day?
I am. Yeah, we'll probably have something to say about that. I have a theory about what role this film served in the lives of its audience. My theory is called anti fantasy. I'll explain this more as it comes up.
It is not a movie geared towards 19-year-old young men looking to make their way in the world. That is
No,
not
it
the
is-
target demographic,
geared toward
despite that
the-
being who it is about.
It is geared toward the older family members of that person.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it is wish fulfillments. But yes, not a dry eye in the house. Also, people in our theater, I would say, were relatively like respectful. Like they were talking to each other, but they were like whispering,
Yeah.
which in this day and age is like really as respectful as you can hope for. Mind you, me and Julian were also doing that.
Yes.
But there was so much active listening happening, which I love. So I started doing that as well. But like someone would say something and people would be like, mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Like everyone at once would be like, yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had
Very,
one guy
very
stomping
strange
his feet
experience.
when things were either funny or when somebody would say something like powerful, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. It was like all white people in our audience.
I think
was
it
like,
was.
It wasn't like, I want to like, it's a strange movie, but it is a movie about a black family, a black small business that somehow, but not a small business. They were a massive supplier.
Yeah, I mean,
medium.
small in the sense that they allegedly had like 25
Yeah,
employees.
and had like
Well, that
But
was
they
just
do
one
$1 million
department.
worth of,
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
but it was a story about, black characters.
Yeah. Black community, black family.
I don't think there was maybe like 3 white characters in the movie. But it's like written and directed by the Kendrick brothers, who are some of the most like vanilla, pasty white like lumps of flesh that have ever walked the earth.
Yes.
And the best part is, there's 2 of them.
Ooh.
But yeah, it was like at times it kind of felt like, because there's like sort of that like energetic, the energetic enthusiasm that comes with prayer that you frequently see in like black religious communities.
Yes.
And our like predominantly white audience was like, it felt like they were kind of like cosplaying.
Yeah.
'Cause they would like
I was.
a character in the movie would like, do the thing where it's like, yeah. And like everyone in the crowd would be like,
Yes.
yep. I was like, what? What is going on?
I
here?
completely agree with you, Julian.
Oh.
I get it. I think that white churches want to be black churches, and they can. There's nothing inherently black about having like more audience participation during like the sermon. I've commented this before, but when we do watch movies frequently by black filmmakers about black communities, they depict church services where like the pastor says something and everyone is like, like
Yeah.
people speak their approval out loud. They're showing this public speaker that they are emotionally invested by being verbal. And that's something that does not happen in white churches.
And it definitely feels like one of the many cynical aspects of the Kendrick brothers' career that like they do this and they're basically saying like it's okay for our fellow whites to come and like show this enthusiasm
Yeah,
at church.
perhaps.
Like, I don't know.
I mean, you can
I
see
feel
that as
like that's
cynical.
definitely part of their thinking when they write this movie. What you talked about after we saw it was like clearly very meticulously designed and planned.
Oh yes, focus group to oblivion. The Kendrick brothers are geniuses in my opinion. Like at like making Christian film a commercial product. Like they created the perfect Christian movie for 2024 in some ways, which we'll describe. But yeah, you know, I agree. Part of what the Kendrick brothers were doing with this movie was basically taking a black story and making it for everybody, you know, which is great. And yes, they were encouraging this kind of like inherently like culturally black type of like audience participation, which everyone was in our theater was just like having a fun time with. I don't know. I was.
Yeah.
I was literally going, like the whole time. And it's a very interesting film in that way. And you know, it's a spiritual sequel to The War Room in the sense that there's a bunch of the same actors. But it's a different story.
Yeah, but they're playing similar roles too, even though they're different people. And
yes,
no smelly feet. This one,
they cut out the many extended sequences involving feet being smelly from The War Room. One of everybody's favorite part. I was disappointed. But yeah, the actress who plays the mother in The War Room. I have to open the IMDb page. I just realized she's back. And so is the father from The War Room.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot one more thing about, because I mentioned I understood why there were so many people during the credits. This was one of those films where after you see it, they say, here's a QR code, go here and buy tickets for other people who can't see the movie, which usually means you just like, you don't even have to purchase anything. It's just you basically say like, well, sometimes it's like, okay, I'll spend $20 and get like 4 vouchers to see this movie, and you can give them to somebody and they'll just cash it. They'll like buy the ticket whenever. And this feels like, it felt like our night was a night where a lot of people like used their vouchers for.
They cashed in.
The Forge.
They cashed in.
Yep.
So Priscilla Shirer is the main character in this film. Also, T.C. Stallings. These are both prominent cast members from The War Room are back, and Karen Abercrombie, who plays she plays a character older than she is, and she returns as like the feisty grandma.
Yes,
same character, different family. So, you know, we have a Mulholland Drive situation. It's like all the same characters styled and acting exactly the same way, but, you know, they're in a different family now. And the biggest difference between the two films is that The Forge centers on a young man named Isaiah Wright. The actor who portrays him is Aspen Kennedy, who I'm not familiar with, but, you know, he did a very competent job in this movie.
Yes, playing as a 31-year-old playing a 19-year-old.
Yes. And the Kendricks are really good at touching on a lot of different family dynamics, but The Forge is about manhood. It's about young adult black manhood. And, you know, something really important to the black community I've noticed from just simply consuming media by this is the idea of having a mentor of your same gender to guide you through the particular challenges that you have being, you know, a young person of your gender. Like that seems like a big deal. And a lot of churches do that. My church growing up, which was a white church, you know, but we had like a men's group and things like that too.
I will say it is never, I don't think I have ever heard anyone in the news or pop culture or like cultural criticism ever bring up, you know, the fact that a white person grew up without a father as like a knock against them.
Right.
So this is it seems like a very like, felt like a very loaded movie.
In that reason, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something going on that, you know, that's a dynamic I will just be honest, I don't fully understand, but you do hear that a lot. There's a trope, black people say this, and, you know, like sometimes white people will say this about like black people too, like be like, oh yeah, these young black men without fathers, like this is what they grow up to be, like this is the type.
Just like a racist excuse.
Right. But
Yeah.
but this film was about that. You know, Isaiah, his father's not in his life. He's being raised by a very strong single mother who complains in the beginning of the movie, you know, that it's difficult for her, as she in the first scene that Julian and I saw, because we walked in possibly like 15, 20 minutes late.
Yeah.
Not my fault. I had to get a double vodka soda from the bar. It took a while.
Mhm.
And the first scene I saw was Priscilla Shire's character saying, like, I can't be his mother and his father.
Yeah.
And
It's a big deal to white people that a black person have a father.
yeah.
Just off the top of my head, I can think of two people who, you know, LeBron James and Barack Obama seem to do pretty fine growing up without fathers. But to a lot of white people and the Kendrick brothers, that's a very important thing in a young black man's life.
Sure.
So speaking of LeBron, they fit in the LeBron versus Michael Jordan debate at
so
lunch
funny.
at the warehouse.
That was
Jeb.
too fucking. I got to give them credit. That was too fucking real for being in a room full of a bunch of normies at a shitty job.
Yeah.
And it's like lunchtime is spent arguing about LeBron versus Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. This movie was kind of perfect.
Yeah.
Like, is it the most fun I've had watching a Christian film? No. I liked the movie. It was a good movie. It was emotionally engaging.
Yeah.
But you got to admit that they did a couple things where you were like, damn, they nailed it.
It's one of those films where you watch and you laugh at how stupid it is, but then at the same time I was thinking, like, this is what most of America, like, this is their life.
Yeah. It's actually an idealized version
Yes.
of most people's life.
And I'm not saying that as like
Yeah.
a judgment or it's a good thing. It's not a good thing or a bad thing.
It's just facts.
It's just the fact of the times we live in is that, like, I feel like majority of people, like working class people in America, work in a like semi-automatic shipping facility. And this is like a movie that is all about, you know, why you should love doing that and how it can be like focusing at that job can be the key to success in your life.
Yes. The main thrust of the film, we're going to talk more in depth about the plot, but, you know, a main thrust of the film is that young Isaiah Wright, he's just graduated high school and he is like directionless. He stays at his mom's house, plays video games all day. He needs a job, and he finds a job and more when he meets Joshua Moore, the CEO of a fitness company, which name I can't remember.
I think it's More Fitness.
More
Could be.
fitness.
Yeah.
More Fitness, who not only gives Isaiah a job, but also a chance at a brighter future by becoming essentially a stand-in father figure,
Yes.
mentor to him.
Yeah. You too can achieve your wildest dreams working an entry-level position at an Amazon warehouse as long as Jeff Bezos is your mentor
Yeah.
and basically teaches you how to become the CEO in your first 3 weeks of working at the company.
Down to
Um,
applying properly, because he Isaiah, the main character, he immediately gives up because he's filling out the application. Mr. Moore comes in and is like, talks to him. He thinks he's just some sales guy, and he's kind of like, "Hey, get the fuck out of here." And then he's like, "What do you do anyway?" And he's like, "I am the president." And then he tries to just storm out of the lobby immediately, and he's like, "Hey, hold on, don't you want the job?" And he's coaching him through it from the get-go.
What the fuck?
Incredible. Yeah, so he's kind of just like a cranky baby. He doesn't have a rage issue.
Yeah.
He's just like, remember how Wesley was in the prayer box, where he's just like kind of condescending and thinks he knows best.
Yeah.
He was almost to that level. Not quite as bad. But he's
He's
an older
the mental-
individual, adult-sized person, so
Yeah. He's the mental illness of being an 18-year-old male.
exactly. Pretty much. And he doesn't want to get a job. Why would he want to get a job?
Yeah.
And there's this coffee shop incident that we know about because it came in later in the film. He embarrasses himself in a coffee shop.
He sees a probably fellow 18-year-old at the coffee shop who he has a crush on, and he goes in to talk to her, and she asks if he wants coffee, and he says no. He's just being kind of like he's just not doing a very good job hitting on this.
He doesn't have the riz.
Woman.
No.
Yeah, he does not have the riz. And he's wearing a backwards baseball cap and like a baseball jersey that's like open, with like a white t-shirt.
This thug.
But anyway, then her dad, who is taller than him, larger than him, steps out and is like, "Hey, do you want any coffee or not?" And he's like, "No, I don't." He's like, "I don't even like coffee." And he's like, "Then get out of my store." And he's like, "What? Just because I don't want coffee?" And he's like, "Get out. Don't come back." And he's like, "I don't want to come back."
I mean,
Cool.
to be fair, I have had that interaction at multiple businesses.
Yeah.
I don't actually know if that's true, but you know,
No,
it feels like it's true.
Yeah.
It was not a totally unrealistic thing, just as somebody who is worked in that type of, not a coffee shop exactly, but you know, various retail and like theater jobs.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people just act in a way that's you're like, something obviously happened. I don't know why you're talking to me this way though.
Bash had to kick out lots of C-list alt comedians from the bagel shop in Silver Lake when they came in to hit on the 17-year-old women working
I
there.
did, yes.
God,
That's just what I did.
jeez.
Not true. They did come back later and apologize.
Yeah, so that's all that was. It was kind of like, what are you doing, dude? This is not how you talk to the person who's in charge of the store if you want to stay at the store. Anyway, he was more just being a baby and wanting things his way. And then so he does start looking for jobs. I forget why he goes to More Fitness specifically, but he somehow was made aware that they were hiring and goes in
isn't
to
there
fill
a
out.
family connection? Like the mom is like, oh, he helped out your uncle or something.
Yes, but I don't think we learn that until after he gets the job there.
Yeah.
Oh. So
Yeah.
there's just like no reason.
I mean, it's in town. It's a business. It's a local business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We find out the reason he feels an attraction to Isaiah. It's because of what happened with his son, who was like the same age.
I suppose so. But Scott,
I guess.
did you see any reason why Mr. Moore might find a special interest in Isaiah? Was that evident, or did Mr. Moore basically just take a chance on him out of nowhere?
I felt like, because he doesn't actually say fuck off, it's a Kendrick Brothers movie, but he says like the equivalent of like, oh, why, like clearly you don't like, his body language shows that he understands that the president is not going to want to hire him after he was like a little mouthy to him, thinking he's like a grunt level employee or whatever.
So he's more dissatisfied with himself for treating.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like they were trying to, it was not quite unbelievable that Mr. Moore would be able to see that he just has misguided frustration and is 18. Despite the fact that he looks like he's 30, because he's actually 30. He must be.
Really? Because I
don't
said
know.
that to you at the end. I was like, this guy looks 30 years old. He was supposed to be
does,
like
right?
20.
Yeah, he was
I
supposed
felt
to be
like he
18 at
looked
this
pretty
point.
old. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I felt like he could see the misguided frustration and was like, look, I'm gonna see if this kid is smart, like I guess he probably is. Like I'm guessing he probably is. And so just even him giving that chance, Isaiah already is like, he does just have misguided frustration, right? That's what we end up learning in the movie. So
Yes,
like
certainly.
being given that chance, it does give him pause, and he's like, oh, okay, I'll take this more seriously.
Yeah.
So that basically, thanks to Mr. Moore's discipleship and leadership skills, he gently and smoothly guides him to the into the workforce.
Yes. Now, I want to mention, because we hinted on this already, the workforce is very interesting in this film because the workforce is a small business, basically,
Yeah.
and it is a fitness equipment distribution center. And this is important to note because the film is obviously about working at Amazon. Like, it's not in the movie, but you can just tell that the way people are dressed, the type of work they're doing, the fact that they're working in like fulfillment and distribution center, that the Kendricks, in my opinion, have picked this type of work because they think it would be most relatable to a lot of young people who are job hunting right now for a job that has, you know, a decent entry-level salary and, you know, some kind of benefits. I actually don't know for a fact if that's true, but, you know, working for a huge corporation like Amazon, you usually get some benefits beyond, like, you know, working at just like a mom and pop small business. So this might be relatable to teens entering the workforce out of high school. But the crazy thing is that, like, it tries to basically, in my opinion, this film basically is trying to sell you on the nobility of working at an Amazon warehouse. And it does that by inventing a fictitious distribution warehouse where you can actually meet with and interact with the CEO. And you feel proud to be on a team because it's a small team and you understand the work that's being done. That is the fantasy this movie is selling, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely part of the fantasy. And then in the end, he's going to college after that anyway. So they didn't even, I don't know. They like gave credibility to the job, but then also were like, but he's going to do more than that.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, it was still an entry-level job, but I just think that, like, it is a huge fantasy that you can find, that most people can find an entry-level job out of high school where someone will prepare you for a future career.
Like, you're going to find an entry-level job in a warehouse where anyone gives a shit about you in any way.
Yes.
Right.
That, like, you're going to be treated right. You're going to be treated like an individual with, like, hopes and dreams.
Do you know anyone who works at a distribution warehouse? I knew one person who did.
No, I've
I
never.
have before.
One opened up for me down the street in Glendale, and I thought about applying.
Yeah, just to see.
I have before many years ago when I used to do like whatchamacallit? What are those places where you just get random different jobs?
A temp agency?
Different job. Yeah, temp agency. Yeah. I worked for a few of those when I worked for a temp agency.
What was your experience?
People got paid unfairly and conditions weren't always ideal. And sometimes we'd be working next to somebody who just seemed like they had completely had psychosis.
You're telling me these people weren't all driving vintage Mustangs and going to college at the start of the new semester?
No, there was a guy
with the money that they made from working there.
There was a guy I worked with once, and I quit this job the next day. This was like some kind of specific car parts distribution warehouse in Ohio, and I was working across a guy who I just like assumed he's on like some kind of amphetamines, but he's like not really bothering me. He's just talking a lot, and then probably like about an hour after I had been there, he like went to go. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get a drink of water," and he like left. And he went to the bathroom, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." But then somebody else behind me was like, "Oh, don't mind." I don't remember the guy's name. So he's like, "Don't mind old John's crowing." And I was like, "Oh yeah, he kind of talks a lot," and he kind of like looked at me funny, and then didn't say anything else. And the guy came back. He was completely soaked in water. Like he had just like poured a bucket of water on his head, or, you know, at the very least got a glass of water and just dumped it on his head completely. And then it turned out what he meant by crowing is that like every 15 minutes or so after that, he would just let out like an like really loud.
Jesus
I
Christ.
don't know
And
what
then
to say.
and then at lunchtime, I found out that like people who were like 15 years older than me were getting paid less than me, and it was because this was like a parent's friend was like a higher up at this warehouse. That's how I got the job. One of my parents' friend was, and so
Holy shit.
they were like, "Oh, they're like what?" I was like, and they would hire you into the company already instead of that. And I was like, yeah, I guess.
we
Yeah,
cannot
crazy. That's
let
fucked up.
John's crowing.
Yeah.
Don't
crazy.
mind his crowing.
And then I also noticed
Well,
later
that
he
is
had like
so
a hand done
wild.
like swastika tattoo on his forearm too.
Oh, brother.
So it's just like this distribution center job. It's just like the movie made it so dignified, and there's like a huge plot point at the end of the film, of course, where like Isaiah's like his desire to participate and make the warehouse great involves a crack team staying overnight to make the deadline, and it's like a
Yes.
huge achievement. And it's just like that's not happening. There's no Amazon warehouse where people are like, let's get together and like let's be the best Amazon
That
warehouse
was so
in the
fucked,
country.
dude. Not much happens in this movie, but that was one of the most fucked things when
Yes.
the lady who works there was like, "You're telling me I got to work another 16-hour shift right now?"
And they were like, come on, Wanda, we
And
need
she's
you.
like, "Let's do this.
Uh-huh.
Let's fucking go, dude."
This is
like,
at the end of the
The
week.
implication that she's already working 16-hour shifts there.
Yeah.
And then this like new guy who just started working there, who's essentially the CEO's adopted son, is like, "Don't worry. If it doesn't work out, I'll take all the blame for this."
Yeah.
Like, okay, great. You mean the guy who gets fucking everything handed to him just because he like randomly showed up here? He's like, "You're going to have to work 32 hours straight
Yeah.
in order for us to make our CEO richer."
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
So
after
fucking
you've just
bizarre.
worked the entire week too.
Yes.
But this is because in the Forge, which we'll talk about in a bit, in this like this biblical, this group of male friends that hold each other accountable and train each other. Isaiah has learned he's gone from being like a sedentary gamer to not just working hard at his job, not even just getting a job, holding a job, showing up on time, but actually the desire to excel at his job, the desire to he sees the bigger picture at the end of the movie. He sees that the job is bigger than just himself and that he has an obligation to his job, and that sometimes means going the extra mile, even in a entry-level position.
Yeah. It's strange because the only thing that the thing that motivates him to do good at the job is just somebody else saying like, "Hey, if you show up late or don't do your job, like other people are going to have to work harder to make up for it."
Yeah.
And that's just somebody telling him that just blew his mind. And then he was like open to the Christianity stuff and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about Isaiah's descent into Christianity.
The, the escalation.
Yeah, the escalation into Christianity.
Oh.
Basically, the manic episode that Isaiah
Yes.
goes through. All
Something
wait,
else
Did you have something else to say,
You
Scott?
guys, yes, something else you two missed at the beginning of the movie is there's the first two songs that play are like good Christian rap songs. Like I was like, I'm looking up these artists later. This is good. I want to
Yeah.
listen to more of this.
I just tuck my head and then I work and then I pray. Satan trying to get me on my game, but he might pray. Always wanted to be more, I'm feeling like I'm Ray. I step in super ace and now I'm chilling with the grays. Diligent, I'm a rocket. Reading James like I'm Harden. I'm Chris Breezy, I'm popping. No more games, time to lock in. God say the planet, I'm on it. Going for my dreams, yeah, I'm on a ultra beam. I'ma get it, that's for sure. I envision, and then I go. I don't never look back on the go. Pray hard and then I work and that's for sure. Yeah.
And I noticed when he converted to Christianity, there was no more rap songs. There was no more hip hop playing in the background.
Interesting.
Oh, he left his poster up of a flaming basketball that said rebound.
Yeah,
That's cool. That's
So
Boys
he didn't
Bible
lose
Study
everything.
merch.
Yeah.
it's
Boys
true.
Bible Study merch.
Well, I felt like he was still allowed to play basketball because there at some point he's like,
Yes.
yeah, I have a day off. I'll go play with you guys with his friends who I think maybe the movie is 2.5 hours long. I would not be surprised if there's an additional scene with his friends. His not as focused on work friends.
Right. They're not focused on work and Christianity.
No.
They just want a ball. They just want a game.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about Isaiah's manic episode that he has,
Yes.
where he becomes Christian in 3 days?
He gets thrown into the forge.
Yes, he does.
So if you are a parent of a 18-year-old boy and their boss has one conversation with them about the Bible and how it's helped to guide them on their success journey, they've drawn corporate grind set wisdom from the Bible.
Yeah.
And then your 18-year-old son comes home, reads the entire New Testament in one night and throws away all of their material possessions. You should be very alarmed. If within the next few days after that, they go to a meeting of like middle-aged men and he comes home with a sword, you need to get out of there. You
Move
need
to
to
the
get
next
out of there and
town.
inform the authorities, because if he does something, you are going to be held liable for that too.
That's what happens to Isaiah. Like, Joshua, he, as a condition of taking the job, he also asks Isaiah to come in for mentorship twice a week before his shifts. Where he learns things such as how to give a firm handshake and not be late.
Yep.
Things that fathers need to tell their sons.
Yes.
All things my father told me.
And
that's why I turned out so well.
yeah. And I actually do remember my father giving me the firm handshake conversation when I went for an interview at the grocery store at Wegmans when I got my first
That's
job.
amazing. I don't think I ever got any lessons about like how to be an adult or a man from my dad. I don't particularly think he knows how to do it himself. He does well for himself.
Yeah.
There you
But
go.
yeah,
Don't
I mean,
need
and
it.
there's still
Well, you don't
there's still
have to-
time that he could teach me these
You don't
things.
have to be an
That's
adult
true.
anymore.
Yes.
Is the thing. Like you can, I'm not talking about your father, but I'm just saying in general. You can basically be a baby.
Well, personally, I don't have to follow any sort of like quote unquote I mean, I'm very blessed to have an income from a job that I do not have to be professional in any sense.
Yeah, barely.
I mean,
That's not true of everyone.
but then when I describe this job to my dad, he still like insists that it's like he keeps asking me if I'm ever gonna like go to law school.
You're
I'm like,
right.
give it up. I'm like, I have a salary.
Yeah, I have a salary. I have a career. I have
Yeah.
like, benefits
Yeah.
and stuff.
That's basically the only like father like position I think
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's
that he
like
takes in my life.
Even better, Mr. Shine. He got out of having to do that to get a salary.
Yes, exactly. The thing I think I have one of those parents who like wants me to live through the same trauma that he lived through and is just jealous that I don't have to do any of that stuff.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
But-
he wants you to be forged the same way.
I got to take
He
him to the
was.
forge.
That's right. You
The
got to take
forge
him to
of
the
chill. The forge of being
comedy
chill.
forge.
Yeah.
And in this mentorship that Josh was giving to Isaiah, he does eventually introduce him to Christianity. As Julian already pointed out, Isaiah takes the lessons very quickly, and in probably the most impressive demonstration of his newfound Christianity, he throws away all of his video games.
Yes. This was the real tearjerker moment in
What?
the theater.
It really was. There were people crying in our theater. But I just want to know, I mean, hey, listen, addiction is different for everybody. you don't have to throw away your video game system if you become a Christian.
No, it's because Joshua told him that he had to make a decision between golf and being a disciple of Christ.
Yes. To which I ask, why?
Why? And also, he didn't completely give up golf. He said he was playing golf every weekend, and then he cut it down to like 2 to 3 times a year, which I feel like he could just do a little more or less. Like, that's just an estimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it was to show that Isaiah was like really serious about this, but I don't know. It's just like, I think he just has like an addictive personality. If you're gonna do all that shit,
and it's like, hey, good for Isaiah. I mean, if he was indeed addicted to video games and using them as an escape, I mean, earlier in the movie we do see the only big like fuck up he makes is that on his 3rd day he plays games all night and oversleeps his alarm, so he's late for work,
Which is pretty bad for the 3rd day. Let's be honest.
It is,
yeah.
But honestly, the way that like. I don't know much to say. I guess what I'm trying to say here is like this movie. This is the first instance of this movie delves into what I refer to as auntie fantasy.
Yeah.
Because we aunties of the world, we just wish our nephew would get rid of the damn video games. He would be such a nice young man if he only just got rid of the damn video games. We don't play them ourselves. We don't understand them.
They're dangerous.
They could be dangerous. At the very least, they're definitely slovenly. Because, you're just sitting there talking, just sitting there, eyes glazed over. We understand that.
Aesthetically displeasing to see somebody playing video games.
Now, mind you, the same people will just sit and watch TV all day.
Yeah.
Because that's normalized. But video games are different.
Or go to Vegas and just sit at the slot machine for fucking 72 hours straight.
Yeah.
Right.
Or play fucking, or in the experience at when I worked in the depositions and the average age of my coworker was a like 68-year-old grandma.
Yeah.
Just playing Candy Crush on their phone at every possible lull in the conversation.
Yeah.
That is okay because they understand it.
Right.
They understand if I smear my finger across the screen this way, it makes a little jingle.
Right.
And that makes me happy. But if you sit in their room playing
A shooting game.
that's bad.
Can I get on my men's rights soapbox for a second?
I thought that's what this podcast
thought you'd
was
never
about.
ask.
Exactly. Yes. The reason video games are demonized is because they are not exclusively at all, but they are associated. They have cultural connotations of being a young male activity. And in general, people in society do not like things that young men are drawn to. They find them scary.
Because they got
Sometimes.
that weird energy. That
Allegedly.
unsettled
Yeah.
energy. Not even weird, really.
I think it's
Allegedly.
I think it's more of a Ram Dass situation that
Mhm.
we've talked about, where it's like the most vocal people involved in this activity are the fucking most annoying, weirdest
Yeah,
people.
that's true.
They ruin it for everybody else who does it and can like just be normal and do it.
Wait, what's the connection with Ram Dass?
Because it was my theory, which is totally unable to be proven, that drugs would be legal if Ram Dass was not like the face of doing acid. or-
Yeah, and becoming Buddhist.
Yes.
Yeah, does no one want that to happen?
If it was just a normal, cool guy who wasn't like drawing pictures of like obese people saying that they were like evil.
So you're saying Steve Jobs is a better like acid role model?
I mean, if he was like more vocal about that stuff, I think that would have been because people idolize that.
Right.
I
And
mean,
then
now
again,
what's going to happen with ketamine and Elon Musk?
Oh my God.
'Cause I would say he's not a great ketamine spokesperson,
No,
but people
I-
still like love him.
I would have to agree with that.
That's
But,
crazy that people still love him. Like, what are they looking at?
You know, I say that, but who really loves him anymore? It's kind of just the same people who are like the addicted video game people. I've never heard like a normal person
Yeah, I think
say
he's
like
kind of
they
past.
like Elon Musk.
You have
He's
to be like a
washed.
Twitter person now.
He's washed.
Perhaps.
He's cooked.
He's one of the 3 richest men on earth.
That's awesome.
Him
I bet
and,
the other 2 are pretty cool if he's the bad one.
Him and Joshua Moore.
Well, once he got the account at the end.
But Joshua, so we can agree, Elon Musk, not a great CEO.
Nah, he's not going to be in the Forge anytime soon.
He's not going to be on the Forge anytime soon. Joshua Moore, on the other hand, is a great CEO, and the reason why we root for him is because one of the things the company does is just make and distribute products for third world countries all over the world.
Yes.
Because they don't really get into this, but U.S. imperialism is all over the world, and is often
It's just-
helping to set up situations that need help like this.
Did you see that crazy graphic at the end that was like a bunch of lines coming off of the United States and like landing in other countries?
Oh, yeah, what was
For
that
like,
about?
it was like to start your own forge and like go and teach young men how to be Christians, or you teach like create
We
your
will
own
exert
forge
our
of Christian
influence
ideas.
all over the world.
But it
Here's
literally-
our plan.
it literally-
This is the first 10 years.
It looked like in like a movie like The Terminator, where they show where all the nuclear missiles get launched.
Well, it was
Yeah.
probably like a stock video, but it was actually one about like
Yeah.
American like where American military bases are stationed, but they just were just like stock video of map with arrows spreading. It was very ominous. Yes, at the
Yeah.
end, at the call to action where we were told to create our own forge. But yeah, I mean that shows why, you know, Isaiah would maybe have pride in the company. He would understand that his work at the company, although menial, was part of a greater good.
And he goes with Joshua and his wife to help out at a food bank.
Yeah.
Noble cause.
Sure.
There was a very funny moment when like the Joshua was introducing Isaiah to an older woman in the office who was like, he was like, oh, this is like my right hand woman, like she makes this company run, and then like she makes it so that I can be home for dinner or whatever. And like the old lady was like, and you know I need you home for dinner or whatever. And there was some stupid joke, and Joshua was like, she's also my wife
Of 35 years.
of
Yeah.
35 years. And the the couple sitting next to me was just like, oh.
Yeah. These
It was like they
people-
were totally shocked when the joke dropped that like a married couple would make, and then the punchline of like, she's my wife, and they were like genuinely like, oh, I had no idea.
They are not.
That's awesome.
They are never sending their best anywhere. The Kendricks are so smart because they know that this is like clever humor for their audience. Like they are really good at appealing to like a least common denominator audience while still making movies with characters that have like a shred of dignity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I will actually like hand it to them for that.
These are like, if you want to see what like life in America is like, if you're not a fucking hipster, try hard, fucking dumbass, like podcast
Like
piece
me.
of shit, fucking gay, straight, 3 white people with microphones. You want to see what it's like to be a good, honest American? Watch a Kendrick Brothers movie.
But even then, as I said, still idealized, still very sanitized, you know.
Yes. Yeah, if you want to see the platonic ideal of a conservative American life, watch this movie.
Right. The other feature of Joshua's company, which, you know, we have said a little bit, but just to make it plain, is that he takes Isaiah under his wing as a disciple. Once Isaiah gives his life to Christ, Joshua says, now you're ready for discipleship. There's a group of men I want you to meet. And he takes them to the back room of an Italian restaurant where there are a bunch of men in medium blazers, over dress shirts with slacks and sneakers. This, my friends, is the Forge.
Welcome.
There
were so many moments where like somebody would say something and then there would be like a pause for audience.
Pause for
applause.
laughter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or laughter. Yeah.
Yeah, pause for
Or like when
applause.
the lady walked into the. Yeah, there was a very funny moment because the mom had a twin sister, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
When they're in the hair salon having a prayer group, and the twin sister walked in, and this little kid sitting behind me was just like, how did they do that? Like, how did they have two identical people
Right.
on the screen at the same time?
Do you think
Very
that was a
funny.
real life twin
I think so.
or split screen? I felt like it was a real life twin.
I don't think the Kendrick brothers could pull off split screen like that.
They
Yeah, I feel
actually
like
don't
maybe
know
she
how to do
pushed-
that.
Yeah.
I feel like Patricia Shire has a real life twin. Yeah, it'd be a kind of silly effect for them to do. Like, why wouldn't they just like cast someone else as her sister?
It kind of felt like one of them was doing a worse job at acting than the other one.
Yeah.
They weren't in the film for that long, but
But as I said, people were very vocal, participatory
Yeah.
in our theater. But the Forge, what goes on here? I was like, this is some Freemasonry shit.
it really is. I don't actually understand what they did that was like any different from like just telling like the stuff that Josh was saying to Isaiah like before they went to the Forge was the same shit that they were saying in the Forge.
Yeah. I mean, it was just something to feel special.
It was just a social club.
It was
but
a
they had
social
to add
club.
in all this fucking
A
weird
men's
like
club.
fake gay shit where they're like
Yeah.
all putting each other's hands on each other's shoulders. Just do an elephant walk. Do a little Princeton handshake. If we're gonna go to the back of a restaurant with a group of middle-aged men, there better be some fucking frauding.
I completely agree.
I'm getting out of there.
I completely agree.
Yeah, why hold back?
Yeah,
We
it was
came
like
this
they would
far.
sit around and have a dinner and just be like, I was worried at work, and then I read Matthew 23, and I realized that it's in God's hands.
And then I made $1 million.
Yeah,
And people will be like, that's the Forge.
that's the Forge.
That's the damn
That's
Forge.
the motherfucking Forge. And
Yes.
then like the fucking 17-year-old boys who are with them are just like, totally silent, fucking newt looking motherfuckers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what the Forge, the Forge is to say. The premise of the Forge is that we need a same gender group of people to, in this case, men. We need men to have a social club to validate each other, to say like, you are a special man.
Yes.
We are special men. And because of that, like, we have love, we have a bond. And so we're going to go out there in the world and feel special.
And then
Yep.
also we need a correlating group of women who get together to pray for those men.
Yes. That is very important. Behind every group of male CEOs, there's a group of women praying for them and their robots and their minimum wage employees to meet a massive deadline.
Yes.
A made up quota just to
Just to
Try to-
prove that we want to work with the company.
Right.
What is the test there? Okay, so should we get to the like
I think we should. I guess the only other thing I wanted to ask about like the Forge is just like, should we do this?
should we do that? We're doing it right now.
I guess so. But like, are we leaving these record sessions? Are we feeling like inspired as men?
We're literally going to the gym after this recording.
Ash,
No,
are you
it's true.
suggesting that each of us should get a disciple?
Yes.
We should become Big Brothers Big Sisters mentors and then bring our kids to
the podcast.
podcast.
Yeah.
And make them
And
riff.
be, just like sit here and be quiet
Yeah.
while we riff.
Yeah.
That would be pretty funny.
Yep.
Okay. Answer yes. We should do this.
Yes.
But yeah, I think I'd be down to like sort of bring it home and talk about how what they're working toward in the climax of
There's
this
a
film.
little bit of interpersonal drama with their families where like this movie, I thought it was over after 45 minutes. We sat down and 15 minutes later, I turned to you and I was like, what is going to happen for the next
Yeah, he's
hour
already
and 45
Christian.
minutes?
in the
He
first
becomes
act.
Christian in the first 45 minutes of the movie. He runs into his father at work. His father is a delivery truck driver, and there's some drama there. And
A sperm delivery truck driver.
Joshua tells Isaiah to forgive. And Isaiah finds out that one of the members of the Forge is the drunk driver that killed Joshua's son when he was
Damn.
the same age as Isaiah, which is why he sort of has taken.
Also, only white guy in the Forge
yeah,
was the drunk driver.
I know. It's
Unbelievably,
almost like,
a car accident death.
True.
Yeah, that was awesome. As soon as he was like looking at a picture of their son on the mantle and said, "Who's this?" and the wife said, "That's our son." I was like, dead car crash. And so that's the shit that goes on in the Forge. There's a lot of forgiveness. There's a lot of men.
You really gonna invite their drunk driver who killed your son to go to the Forge with you?
Like that guy had to have gone to prison for like 6 years
Yeah.
minimum. And he seemed very well adjusted.
Well, I bet Joshua, helped him. He helped him.
He's probably the fucking CFO of the fitness company or whatever.
He said he was a family
Psycho.
counselor in the film. I remember that detail for some reason.
That makes sense.
But again, this is just to show how magnanimous and like interested of a man Joshua is. Like Christians in these movies, they are just always like, I am dropping my life so that I can make this other person's life good.
yeah. I just remembered something I read the other night.
Yeah.
That's an amazing profession that might not even exist. But apparently there's something called like a prison coach. And you're hired by like famous or successful people to train them on how to survive in prison before you go to jail.
Whoa.
Now that I'm remembering, I think there was like a Will Ferrell comedy about this exact thing. But yeah, famously, like Paris Hilton hired one. Like there's all kinds of
To be
people
like-
who like right before they go to jail, they like
Don't
bring
look at them right in the eye,
Yes.
like when you walk, like shit like that.
They
Yeah.
tell you things like, don't try to get the TV changed in the cafeteria. Don't like stare at people.
Yeah.
Like try to keep a low profile. It's shit like that
Yeah.
you just go. That's what that fucking guy should have done. Who
Yeah.
killed
Don't
the
talk
drunk-
about how
He
much
should
you
have been a
loved your
prison coach.
boss. Oh,
Yes. Don't talk about how when you get out, you're going to get a sword from your group of male friends. Start your own forge in prison.
Yeah. Prison Forge.
yeah.
I think I would do okay in prison.
Hack your way
I
out
think
of
I'd
there.
have friends.
That is such a just hopefully irrational fear that I have.
Yeah.
I have these a couple of anxieties that I'm like, number one, I'm going to die in a plane crash.
Yeah.
And the number two is I'm going to go to jail for like minimum 3 years at some point in my life. I don't think these things are going to happen because of any sort of thing that I'm doing.
Don't worry. If you did go to prison, I would visit you once a week for about 3 weeks.
Thank you.
And then I would get tired of doing that and I would stop.
Yes. That is exactly how I treated my grandma when my dad was like, you have to start hanging out with her because she's getting old.
Yeah. Well, in the Forge, to symbolize Isaiah's growth, they do gift him with a full sword. and they do a little demonstration where, like, if all the men are holding the sword together, it's not as heavy.
Why does it have to be a sword?
Because the forge.
Yeah, but it's like, what's the
It's a metaphor.
fucking...
Because-
Shouldn't it be like a hammer? Like a big, heavy hammer?
No,
What-
because it is an all eternal masculine symbol.
Yeah.
The knight, the warrior.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is
Sword
what
of the
we
spirit.
modern.
But when the fuck...
The Bible
wait,
is your sword.
When are you using a sword and you're like, over here, fellas, help me lift the sword up as we go into
Right.
battle? Like, what
Yeah.
the fuck is this?
Wouldn't really look good on the battlefield. I
No,
would
not
say.
at all. Especially
But
because
this
half those
is-
guys were at the like business end of that sword.
Yeah, they were not in the field. Well, you know, it's like our modern day life. We men are so. I mean, we're not fighting anything.
Yeah.
Like, I sit on the damn couch. I sit in the damn chair. Like, that's what I do. Like, I'm not. My life is very soft.
The Forge feels like something we're watching now, and then in like 10 years, we're going to be like, oh, that's why we have the Christian Taliban like running the state of Mississippi in America.
I love the Christian Taliban. Well, should we bring it home with this like this quota thing at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
So a lot of clients are dropping from More Fitness. They're switching to other fitness equipment suppliers. They're switching to other fitness equipment suppliers. So Joshua and his wife have to go on a last minute tour around the United States. to
Apology
meet
tour.
Yeah, basically. They have to go and shave their heads and cut off their pinkies in front of the other, like their clients around the
biggest
country
clients.
in like Texas and Florida, wherever. But they find their accounts manager guy finds out that yet another competitor has swooped in on one of their clients and is promising to deliver like 2,500 pieces of equipment, 2,500 orders in like 2 days.
Over the
And-
weekend.
Over the weekend. And somehow Isaiah finds out about this, and there's like this agreement that they're going to fill an order of 3,000 orders. Or they're going to fulfill a shipment of 3,000 orders in that same weekend. And he's the only one who believes they can do it. For some reason, there's only like 5 people who work in this fulfillment center.
Yeah, in the department.
Probably because they have like 25 automated workers.
Yeah, they have a whole team of robots.
But Isaiah spearheads this sort of like, we're going to work 16 hours straight to fulfill this because our boss believes in us. It is very important that you remember that apparently the ultimate goal of this company is to supply the like wells and
Yeah.
that kind of do charity work
Their mission,
in other countries.
Their mission accounts. Yes, missionary accounts.
So don't think that they're just doing this to make the CEO richer, because this is for a good cause.
Right.
Yeah. So Isaiah basically he mans up, if you will, and spearheads the operation to fulfill this, unbeknownst to the CEO, unbeknownst to Joshua, who only sees it because his wife intermittently checks the security cameras, which are trained on all of the employees in the fulfillment center at all times. And he sees that Isaiah is in there fulfilling orders.
Yeah.
So they get in on it, and they call the guy who's like the engineer who's in charge of the automated workers,
Charge of the robots.
who works at the factory. But then it's revealed that he can do it all from home. And I was like, why does he have to
why
go
does he
to
have to come
work?
in?
All he does is turn the robots on. Anyways, yeah, they embark on this epic overtime adventure. Working, the woman, as we said earlier, is going on to her second straight 16-hour shift, and she's happy to do it.
Yeah.
All to save the company.
To save the company. And they're getting all the perks. They're like get them all the food they want, and it's literally like their accounts manager like putting like Doritos and orange juice into like
Yep.
a tub and like
Yeah.
and like Starbucks coffee drinks and like delivering it to them.
Could not even spring for fucking DoorDash.
Yeah, like a
to get, like, a
DoorDash or
pizza.
whatever.
Yeah. Order
Um,
real food.
Yeah. But hey, overnight they do it as Julian said, it's like an epic. That's what's brilliant about this movie. They make the mundane work
Mhm.
into an epic adventure because you are a man, you are a Christian, you believe in what you do, you're strong, you have faith. So even working at the warehouse with the robots is a warrior's task.
Yep.
So keep that in mind if you're listening next time you're going to your job. What if your job was delivering missionary supplies to the whole world? You'd feel pretty bad if you didn't work that overtime, right?
It's a good point.
So put in the extra hours.
Yeah.
And this ends in a climax when Joshua, who's on a business trip, doing this remotely, he entrusts Isaiah to put on a suit jacket and meet the CEO of their account manager, who's, coming to deliver the test order, or, coming to pick up, I should say,
Yep.
the test orders.
They lift the roll gate, and there's the CEO of Mossad. And they've arrived to inject explosives into the
I was just saying, I
equipment
can't believe
before
you got
it
all
goes-
these pagers ready over the weekend.
before it goes to liberal arts campuses all across the United States.
Oh God. Isaiah, in his bold, masculine warrior sensibility, on the spot, gets the CEO of this other company to commit to a 7-year contract.
The original deal was 5 years. That's what the CEO of this company says. Let's do 5 years. Isaiah says, hey, put your money where your mouth is. Let's do 7. And there's this stupid fucking moment where the guy just stands there silently pondering and goes, okay.
So
And we're like, okay, what the
Well,
fuck?
obviously.
It kind of would have been cool if he was like, no, sorry.
fuck you.
Yeah. And that was like an important lesson for Isaiah to learn.
Yeah, like actually, don't do that.
Or if they just
blew
didn't
it
fulfill
after-
the orders,
It could have happened.
they could have just not fulfilled the orders and like the CEO rewards them anyways. I mean, this would be great CEO propaganda. Like
Yeah, or
he
the
rewards them
CEO
anyways.
fires them.
And like, yeah, it's like a good lesson for everybody. And Isaiah. it'd
Fortune
be like-
favors the bold unless it doesn't work, in which case, fuck you.
exactly.
But that's not what happens. This is an uplifting Christian movie. The employees who worked overtime, they all get huge bonuses. Now we don't see what the money is. It could have been like $500.
No, it was
but
Starbucks gift
They're
cards.
happy about
Yep.
it. They open the envelope and they're happy about it. Everybody wins. Isaiah is a man. He's saved his boss's company, which, by the way, the whole time he's been doing this, he's been paying his way to go to business school, and he's been paying rent to his mom. And his mom, unbeknownst to him, has gathered up all the rent checks and used it to purchase a beautiful vintage baby blue Mustang,
Wow.
which is like, how many months of rent did he pay her? He must have paid her like $5,000. Like at
Yeah.
most. You cannot get that car. I
Well,
don't know how much anything
she
about
knew a
cars, but
guy
you
too,
cannot just
right?
buy that car. Yes, she knew a guy.
Get it fixed up.
I think Joshua knew a guy. But even so, that's tens of thousands of dollars of work at minimum
Yep.
for,
maybe that was the down payment.
I suppose so. But it's just one of those movies. One of us, I think Julian said this right at the beginning of the show, but this is a movie. This is a very materialistic movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a fable,
There-
and
People are praying for
heartwarming,
robots.
yeah.
They're praying for robots to do of shipment fulfillment that does not need to be done. It's done as that is not even looked at. Like, why do they need 3,000 by Saturday morning? 3,000 units of sporting goods equipment. Who gives a fucking shit? Like that can definitely be done
literally-
next week.
It's literally a test by the CEO of the client company who shows up and he says, "Oh, those guys they're still packing their order." And it's like, what the fuck, dude? That's not how it works, is it? Please, God, say it's not how it
Like,
works.
what happens to the people who worked like fulfilling the other order that it doesn't go out?
They're atheists.
Well, their grandmas didn't pray hard enough for their robots.
Yeah. Losers.
Because they weren't in the damn forge. The power of Christianity and masculinity.
Like it's not just praying for the
Saves the day.
success of one company. It's ultimately like because there's a competitor, like it's a failure because half the people involved fail. More than half.
Well, that's a
actually.
really
They
good question.
reveal that there were more workers at the other place.
Well, you've asked the age-old question about prayer. If you pray for your sports team to win the ball game,
Mm-hmm.
that means that God wanted your team to win and God wanted the other team to lose.
It's all part of the plan.
I guess. But this could just as easily flip the other direction. You could pray for your sports team to win and they just don't.
Yeah.
That was God's plan, I suppose. And in this case, yeah, I mean, we're watching the story of Isaiah and the Forge, and we are, as an audience, praying for the downfall of this other company.
Man prays and God plans
Something like that.
for the destruction of the rivals of More Fitness.
If this were the Old Testament, God would have said, I want you to kill the employees of Superfit and gather their foreskins.
Yes.
There you go.
I want 2,500 foreskins from the employees of Superfit.
Yeah. Good news. The employees of Superfit have been turned into pillars of salt.
Mm-hmm. And their robots burn.
Yes.
What if instead Isaiah had just immediately called the competitor company and was like, guys, you're looking at this all wrong. We're going to separately fulfill 3,000 orders. We could each do 1,500, do it faster, have extra time, and just charge them for that time.
Yes.
And then be able to fulfill the mission and have some extra change in our pockets and get some more sleep.
That would require labor solidarity, which I
yes.
don't think was a lesson in this movie. It seemed more that every factory, every fulfillment center has one main character.
Yep.
And everyone else in the warehouse, they're doomed to work at that warehouse forever. But every so often when one of these main characters comes in, your goal is to uplift that main character so that they can go and fulfill their dreams.
If your CEO has one day publicly revealed that he has chosen a boy, that might be the warehouse main character.
Yep. He's ridden in a caravan into the village at night and has plucked a boy from the teat of his crying mother.
What was
He said, "This is mine now. This will be my fulfillment center employee. This will be my forge boy."
What was the name of one of the NPCs at the warehouse? The Hispanic guy who was at the end.
I
He was
don't
like,
remember.
Mr. Isaiah, my body is cansado, but my heart is ready.
That was so awesome. He literally just had like a Latino name, and for the first half of the movie, the only thing he said was like "¿Qué tal?"
Yep.
And then when he said, "My body is," I'm good. I'm glad you remember that, Scott. I forgot about that. Yes, the line was, "My body is cansado, but my heart is ready."
This is some Hilaria Baldwin.
That
shit.
is, yeah. Not even my heart is listo.
Yeah. I know, right?
Yeah.
Or fuerte.
Come on.
My heart is how you say strong. Ready?
Yes, it was a very. Hey, you know what? We get to be token characters in a movie sometimes.
Yep.
In this movie, the token Hispanic character used like Dora the Explorer words, and the token white character killed a black boy as a drunk driver.
Yes.
And
Crazy
you know
how
what?
they just like can't be not racist.
Yeah.
I felt like they did a decent job with a predominantly black cast writing these
Absolutely.
characters. Like, you know, they're 3-dimensional. You know, they don't resort to stereotypes for the most part.
No, not at all. I thought it was very tasteful.
And like, even if you see like tropes, like racially charged tropes, they're not like done mean spirited or
Not at all.
anything. But
Well,
then they
what's
just
the
have
deal
like
with the
a
fucking
Latino
Hispanic
character who just fucking randomly says Spanish words.
That's crazy, man.
Yep.
What else from The Forge? Any just like odd details like that?
Yeah, there was that one saying they said a few times about be a fountain, not a drain.
Yeah.
All right.
This movie was just like
Be a squirter, not a dripper.
Right.
Be a squirter, not a creamer. Yes,
very
you're supposed to
sexually
give-
suggestive.
Yes, you're supposed to give more than you take.
yeah.
This is the law of being a human.
I feel like my head was like spinning with all the every like 10 minutes there was some sort of fucking platitude that I was supposed to remember that was supposed to tell me exactly how to live my life.
I mean, there's the thing about this movie is that it was hard to hate on some of its lessons because like some of its lessons on their face were like really good. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, something that I frequently say to people, because this is actually true, is like, I mean, I personally had a really bad attitude about work for most of my young adult life. Like, I would go to jobs that it was very understandable that I hated them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like they respected me or, you know, paid me well or any of these things, but I would be upset to be there. Sometimes very obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the problem is that doesn't work. Like that doesn't make your situation better. Like it sucks because you feel like a cuck
Yeah.
to be like, I'm just going to make the best of things and like smile and like clock in.
Yeah.
You actually do have to do that.
There's like an in between. You just kind of
Yes, there's an
have to.
in-between.
You have to. You. It's a lot easier to just like not actively hate your situation
Yeah.
and just sort of accept it in the sense that like you're there for the time being. Doesn't mean you're going to be there forever. Doesn't mean that it can't improve or you can't improve it. But yeah, that was like a big lesson in my life too. It was just like, oh, the me like going into the job that I think I'm above and like actively hate for 8 hours. It's not necessarily the job that is draining me and leaving me exhausted when I come home. It's my like attitude.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say.
And not in the sense that it's like, oh, I need to be like a wage cuck bootlicker, but like more like, oh, I can actually pursue my creative endeavors a lot more like clear-minded and energetically if I don't like keep thinking like my job is holding me back from
Yeah,
like doing
that's
everything
a
or
good
like
point.
I
Also-
deserve to have a better job just simply because I want it.
Right.
Yeah. Also, deserving a better job or not aside, just being in that scenario, like if you will get away with way more if you just come in smiling and just say, yep, right away to like whatever somebody says first, you can go so
Yeah.
much longer without doing a thing.
Yes.
That's exactly. It's
Absolutely.
strategically, just it helps you lay low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're fortunate enough to be in a job that requires very little like brain function to accomplish the tasks, you just have to accept that it's easy to do an easy job and don't sort of tell yourself like, oh, I hate this job. It's so fucking easy. I'm so above this or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I had a revelation. It wasn't honestly till I was like 30 or whatever. Like when I worked at the bagel shop during COVID, I remember telling myself, you know what? I don't want to be back in the service industry, but I'm not going to do this forever. I'm just going to be an NPC and smile and get done what I need to get
Yeah.
done. And it just made my life a lot better.
Yeah.
I was appreciated there. You know, it was not the best job in the world, but it was like it just made things better. And so I sort of related to Isaiah's story at the beginning of the movie, like him being 45 minutes late to work and forgetting his key tag. Oh my God, that was like me at this office I worked from like 2014 to 2018. That was like me every fucking day. I was always forgetting my key card.
Yeah.
Because I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And like, but it is disrespectful. Like, it is disrespectful. It's not like it's nothing personal, but it's like it just doesn't look good. Like, it gives off vibes that you can't. The thing that this movie was real
your
about.
job harder.
Yes, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You're making it harder for yourself, and it's making your job harder. But also, like, little gestures of respect and politeness like that actually do really get you far.
Yeah.
Even if they're kind of stupid. I always had trouble with that as a young person because I was always like, but this doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, I can just get in the door. Like, but it actually does. And that was like a really hard pill for me personally to swallow.
Yeah. But on the other hand, if you have an abusive boss or abusive coworkers or abusive clients,
Which many people do.
Yeah, you absolutely need to apply for a firearm and take matters into your own hands.
I agree. Do whatever the neighbor's dog tells you to do.
Yes.
At work.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of video games, first-person shooters that can prepare you for this.
May I recommend Postal?
I mean, we can't tell you how to use the firearm once you get it, but like I trust that you will figure
You'll
it
figure
out.
it out. Or a sword.
Yes.
Maybe your men's club has recently bestowed you with one.
How crazy would that to be get killed by a sword in this day and age? I would kind of respect it.
I was thinking, what if they gave him a sword at men's club, and then when he was like driving home, he got like pulled over by the cops and they arrested him for like having a sword.
There were so many moments in this movie where I was like, surely there's going to be some kind of twist, and it just wasn't. And that's why they're the GOATs.
I know. They really are the fucking GOATs.
It's like I sit there and think like, so many missed opportunities. That's the point.
That's the point. Well, it's not every day we get to go to the theaters to see a brand new Christian film, especially one from the esteemed Kendrick brothers. Top earners. By the way, shrewd fucking businessmen. Like, they again, as I said earlier, focus group this movie to oblivion, clearly.
Yep.
And at the end, they showed up, their bald-headed ass heads, to say...
Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that. To say...
But they don't wear it well.
To say, buy other people tickets to our movie.
Yeah. Ultimate cuck move. I just watched your movie and you're like, oh, it wasn't so good. Please buy tickets for other people.
But in the Christian scene, they ended the movie on an inspiring call to action. We must all make a forge. We must all make a forge. They show...
If you like your forge, you can keep it.
They show men congregating in school, in the military, in various places where men are.
Yeah.
And the forge happens there. So therefore we will be inspired. And if we can't create a forge, why not buy the gift of the forge for another film goer? But
amazing. Throw that QR code right up there.
Yes.
That's still so fucking weird to see in a movie theater. Like the fucking, like, you called it Christian Subway Surfers.
They did a split screen with the credits of like the Kendricks talking and a QR code with the credits happening.
Yeah, so fucking bizarre.
It's great,
but,
man. Somebody's gotta up the ante and just have a Blu-ray pre-order at the end. QR code.
Yeah,
one day. But what do we think, boys? What is the official Boys Bible Study review of The Forge?
Considering it's 2.5 hours long, never bored. I was never bored the whole time. It was still too long, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time. Great movie to watch with an audience. Really recommend it. It sounded like on either sides of the country, we had a similar experience where the audience was fully connected and involved. There are other Christian movies you will watch where the audience is blatantly not paying attention. for large chunks of the movie. This was not one of those. So I guess that's why the Kendrick brothers are the best. And why they get real runs in theaters. This is not some Fathom Events thing. They have a real multi-week engagement. I am going to have to give this 3 out of 3 lockers in my bedroom and one sword sitting above them to show that I am a man. Great movie.
Yeah, the Kendrick Brothers 12 Rules for Life, Young Black Man edition. I wish I had mentors like the Kendrick Brothers in my life to tell me that all you need to do to be successful is have a firm handshake and a bottomless well of free labor from local Christian churches to help you film your movie. I'm going to give it 2 out of 2 weeping middle-aged women watching as their little graper boy throws away his Xbox and becomes a graping man. I don't even know what that stands for. I heard somebody say it out loud at a party we were at this weekend, and I
You don't know what is?
Groip?
Oh,
I
man.
know it's like a Pepe thing.
That's
but
not. I could go in an hour. I could go an hour on this.
What does it mean?
It's for no, it's. I cannot get into it right now. It's for another podcast.
Is it bad that I'm saying it out loud?
No, it's not bad. It's just like do you want me to monologue at you for a half hour right now?
Can you give me a cliff note?
Well, at the moment, it involves followers of Nick Fuentes.
Okay. But what does groip mean?
It comes from an alternate version of Pepe. A groiper is the name of an alternate version of Pepe. It doesn't matter what it means. It's an alternate version of Pepe. I'm explaining this like trying to tell a senior citizen how to use an iPhone. I'm just like, go to the App Store.
He's pretty funny.
I'm like, go
I
to
don't
the
have
App
time
Store.
for this right now.
Yes.
Okay, I see.
Like we're about to end the damn pod. We're about to end the 2-hour podcast, and you ask me what is a groiper. Okay. Well, I also really like this movie. A pleasure to see the new Kendrick brothers. May they reign 1,000 years. And also, I believe in the power of masculinity, that groups of men can accomplish many things. So I'm going to have to give this film 40 out of 40 robots. Amazon warehouse robots. You know, what's the guy who goes in the twinkling of an eye?
Carl Sagan.
No, the preacher.
In the movie.
He does all the VHSs. Everything is terrible.
Okay, crap.
Impey, Jack Van Impe.
Yeah.
Do you remember the one Everything is Terrible clip of Jack Van Impe going, robots, Japanese robots?
Of course. Yeah.
Anyway, I think about that all the time. Whenever I hear the word robot, I think robots. Anyways, thank you very much for listening to Boys Bible Study and our review of The Forge. Maybe it'll still be in theaters if you can catch it. I'm sure it'll be streaming soon. Maybe the Kendrick brothers will buy you a ticket to The Forge if you ask very nicely. So, if this is your first time here listening to Boys Bible Study, check out boysbiblestudy.com. Listen to all our free episodes. If you really like what we do and you want to support, go to patreon.com/boysbiblestudy where you can subscribe and get all of our bonus episodes. So you have new BBS every single week. Plus, special thanks to our patron saints who support us greatly, who support us bigly at the $20 tier. Nicole, Marissa, Jeff, Rhett, and Mark. Also, our outro music is the song Oh My God by Mary. So from all of us here at Boys Bible Study, myself, Ash, my co-hosts, Scott and Julian, we would like to say, peace be with you.
And also with you. I don't even have a voice because I'm too busy laughing at how badly you have to go to the bathroom.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I feel your love in me, it's coming from within. Oh my God, my devotion is so unwavering. Divine emotions when you enter me.